Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we are going to do a pretty highly requested video, and we are going to talk about where to get your inspiration for your coloring pages, and that is going to lead into a lot of discussion about colors and color theory and how to just get started by deciding which book you want to color in, what exactly is it that you want to color, all the way into how to choose your colors that you want to use on that page. And then we will get a little bit into color theory and kind of how different colors make you feel and how to choose the colors for your specific page that you want to color. And I'm going to make it really easy for you, and I'm just going to kind of break everything down into steps. So if you enjoy videos like this, please do make sure you subscribe to my channel and turn your bell notifications on so you always know when I post a new video. And if you enjoy this video, please make sure that you give it a thumbs up, because that really helps my channel to grow. So let's go ahead and get into this video. The first thing that I wanted to talk about, let's go ahead and set the color wheel aside, because we are going to move into that after we talk about how you decide what it is you want to color. So I've got a few different books here, and they're all different varying ideas. Like here we have Joanna Basford's World of Flowers, and this book is very popular in the coloring community. I know a lot of people started with Joanna Basford, and so I just don't think Joanna Basford books are something anybody is ever going to leave for very long. Everybody always starts with Joanna Basford, moves on to something else, and then comes back to more Joanna Basford. And this is my favorite book by her, The World of Flowers, because it's just so happy. I mean, I don't know, when you're coloring flowers, it's just something about coloring flowers that just brings so much happiness and joy. And so I think that's why so many people really enjoy this book. This book is really popular. But if you look through this book, you will see that it is pretty much nothing but flowers. This is one that I colored. There is a color along on my channel for this one, and I'll make sure that I link that so y'all could find it. But if you look through this book, you will see a lot of it is flowers or anything that has to do with flowers, and it's just pretty happy and joyful. So these are just a few samples of what you would find in this book. Here's a picture of a little truck, an adorable little truck with a bunch of flowers in it, but everything is pretty much flowers in this book. So this would be one option. And there are plenty of other books out there in the coloring world that you can purchase on Amazon that have flowers in them. Here is another one. This is Hannah Carlson, and Hannah Carlson is also another very popular coloring book artist. Her artwork is absolutely beautiful. There is also a color along on my channel where we colored, I believe, in her Magical Dawn book, and I did the whole thing all the way through and added in a bunch of tutorials for every object that I colored on the page. But her artwork is very different, and it's absolutely beautiful. Like here you have a gate with some birds. Over here you have a key. And then of course here we have some flowers too. So Hannah Carlson also has a lot of flowers in her books, but she has a variety of other things. She's got a lot of birds. She also has buildings. And she has very unique portraits. So if you want to color a portrait, there are several different portraits in her book, and some of them have flowers added in, some of them have a lot of jewels added in. But that is an example of Hannah Carlson, and this book is Jewelry Box. I'll have everything linked down in the description below. Here is World Within Worlds, Kirby Rosanes. He is another very popular coloring book artist, and his books are much more intricate if you feel like putting a lot more time into your coloring piece. But this book is absolutely beautiful. The pages are very detailed, so if you're into that kind of thing, then this would be a fantastic book for you. There's a lot of double page spreads that can be overwhelming for some, but I don't know, some of it looks very intimidating, but his pages are actually very easy to color. And once you get into it and you start coloring, you will find that his pages are not as intimidating as they look to be. So I'll just show you a couple pages in here. And I believe that in this book I have only colored one page. Actually, I've colored two. Here's one of the pages I colored. And there is on my channel somewhere a couple tutorials that I did where I did the gray in the background to show you how to make an object look like it is just popping off of a page. But that is one tutorial. Here's another page that I did, and this was actually a color along on my channel, and I'm not sure if I did an entire color along on this one. I'll have to go back on my channel and look and see, but I definitely did this for a color along with my Facebook group, and I love how it turned out. So that is Worlds Within Worlds by Kirby Rosannes. And then we have mandalas, and a lot of people like to do mandalas because they are a very good stress reliever and just so relaxing to color. But this book is by Color It, and this is their Mandalas Volume 2. And these pages in this book are all perforated, and it's a very nice, really thick paper. All of these books that I've shown you all have very good quality paper, but here's a more, what I would consider a more intricate mandala. A lot of these are a little bit more intricate, but coloring mandalas are very relaxing, and a lot of people just do them just because they are so stress relieving. And you could do these with gel pens, you can do them with colored pencils, you could do them with really whatever medium you want, because this paper, or markers, this paper is really nice and will pretty much hold up to anything, and it's very smooth, so it would also be very good to be able to use your markers in it. So those are a few different suggestions of books. Now, let me talk about how you would find a little bit of inspiration after you find the page that you want to color, and just kind of how to know how to color the page. Let me go ahead and pick a page so I could use it as an example. Let me start here with Worlds Within Worlds, and I am going to use this page as an example to kind of just explain how you would know how to color this page. And a few of the suggestions I have are, if you look at this page, you will see that there's an apple in the page. Okay, and then there are a bunch of little trees in here, and then we've got some leaves, and we've got a tree branch. I can go out into the world and I can observe certain things in nature, and I could just look at these things and I can notice where the light is coming from, where they lay on the object. Like for instance, if I was out at a park and I saw a leaf, I just look at the leaf and I kind of just notice where the light is hitting the leaf, from what direction the light is coming from, where the variance in colors are on that leaf. I've even been to the park with my grandkids and have actually picked up some leaves and taken them home just to look at the different colorations in the leaves, or I'll take out my camera and I'll actually take pictures of the leaves so that I could bring those pictures home and I can kind of apply those to a coloring page. So I don't know, like when I'm out and I'm just looking at things, of course I'm using leaves as an example, but you can go in your kitchen, you could find an apple, and you could look at that apple and see where the colors are actually laid out. I talk a lot in my videos about reference photos. That is another fantastic way to get inspiration for your page and know how you want to color it and what colors you want to apply to the page. So if I went to my kitchen and I picked up an apple and I brought it to my desk where I'm going to sit down and color, I could put that apple right in front of me and just use it as a reference. Or I could go on Google and I can just type in apple and get all kinds of pictures of apples. And you know that all kinds of apples, whether it is a red delicious apple or a golden apple, they all have different color variations, some greens, some reds, some even have a little bit of coral in them and yellow. And apples are just something that you can color, that you've got such a wide variance of colors that you could bring into it and really experiment with a lot of really beautiful blending. Okay, so let's move on. So if I look at this page further, and I could see that there is a tree bark here. So if I look at this tree bark on the apple tree, that is the same way that you can just kind of imagine how you would want that colored. You know automatically that you would probably want to use some browns, but when you're coloring, you've got to make it so that when somebody looks at your coloring page, they can see where the light would be hitting that branch. So if I just took my Prismacolor and I colored the whole entire thing in brown, it's not going to look anything like what I saw in a park or what I looked outside my window at a tree and I'm seeing, because there's going to be no variance of colors. You want to go through your Prismacolors, and let me just give you an example. I've got some of my Prismacolors pulled out because I'm working on the color along right now, and I've got some of my browns already pulled out. But if I was working on a tree branch and wanted to pull some colors for a tree branch, I know that I need brown, but I need different variations of brown so that my tree can look like it's got, or my tree branch can look like it's got some lighting hitting it, and it's got some darker areas where it's got shadows. And so I would want a very dark brown. So if I'm at my browns in my pencil case, of course your pencils should have always been swatched and they should always be in color order. I've got some of my pencils a little bit out of place just because I've been working on a couple different things. But for the most part, my browns are here. So dark umber is one of the darker browns in the Prismacolor set. I would probably go with that one. And if I wanted a true variance in colors, I would probably go here. And this is the light umber. So we've got our dark umber and our light umber. But if you put those two together, you could see that they've got quite a bit of variance. And then so of course I would want a highlight color to go with that. So in my mind, when I think of highlight colors, like if I'm looking at a tree branch and maybe it has a little bit of yellow in it, maybe a little bit of like a lighter brown, you can't really get that light with browns. So then what you would do is you would go over to where your yellows are, and a couple of good choices to do the tree branch would be like this one here. This is the ginger root, and ginger root is an absolutely beautiful color. You could do so many things with the ginger root, but I would go with either ginger root. I could add a little bit of cream. I could add this color here, which is my sable. These are all great highlight colors to add when you're working with browns. So that's just an example of where you would go with that if you were coloring a branch. So again, you can go online on Google and you could pull up a reference photo of a tree branch, and you will see that a lot of the colors that I just showed you, depending upon where the light is hitting the branch and where you want your highlights and everything else, you will see that it's going to have a lot of those variations of the few Prismacolors that I just showed you. If you look at the leaves, I know leaves can be so many different colors. I know when we think of leaves, we think of green. Let's talk about some of my favorite colors for leaves. So I'm over here. Of course, you're going to go to your pencil case where you've got your greens. I've got greens here. And then my greens go into here. Of course, I've got some pulled out already because I'm working on the color along that we're doing currently. So what I would do is I would choose a green, a darkest green for my shadows. And then I would try to find a highlight color to go with my darkest green. So like if I went here and I decided that I maybe wanted to use the peacock green, I could even do something as crazy as bringing in this jade green, which is a beautiful color. And these two would blend together very nicely. Or I could do this celadon green right here, and I could go lighter as my darkest color, and then I can go back over here and brighten it up with something like my light green. This is a gorgeous color. Or I could use the sap green light. My favorite highlight colors to use for leaves is this pale sage, which is an absolute beautiful color. And here is an even lighter green right here, which is almost white, and that is your gray green light. So there's so many different things you can do with leaves. I should do a tutorial on leaves. If you would like me to do a tutorial on leaves, please let me know. And I could do it in probably Joanna Basford's World of Flowers. But also when you're doing leaves, you can add in any of your yellows for a lot of variants. You could add in your cream. You could even bring in your ginger root again. And if you're doing autumn leaves, I just did a tutorial on autumn leaves, but that would be a whole different set of colors. I even did a leaf in the last tutorial where I did a leaf that was turning autumn, but it wasn't quite autumn colors yet. And so it still had some green in it. And if I remember, I will link that. It was in our current color along, the Deborah Muller color along that we're doing right now. So if I remember, I'll link that up in the right-hand corner in the cards for you. Here is our color wheel. And when you're coloring a page, you want to decide if you want to use warm colors or cool colors. And this is even before, you would do this even before. I know I talk a lot about going online and finding color palettes, but you don't always need to find a color palette. You could just color by whatever color inspires you and sit there with your whole 150 set and just pull colors as you want to use them, or just pick 3 at a time out of your 150 set to use on just one object on the page, and then move on to the next object and do the same exact thing. So we want to talk a little bit about color theory and kind of how that works. This is the color wheel, and I don't know if a lot of you know this, but I know that if I look at colors, they kind of make me feel some kind of way, right? So like if I look at blues, I feel a little bit, I don't know, like blue's like a calming color. If I look at red, it's just kind of like fiery and vibrant, and it's just like, it just is a pronounced energy. If I look at yellow, yellow just kind of brings me a lot of happiness and joy and just makes me feel good. And then orange is another color that would just really give you a lot of energy. So the first thing you would really want to do is you want to decide Do I want to color my page in warm colors, or do I want to color my page in cool colors? So your warm colors are here towards the top of the color wheel, and they are going to be the red, the orange, and the yellow, or any variation of orange, red, and yellow. And your cool colors are going to be on the other side, where we've got our greens and our blues and our purples, or any variations of those. So these to me would be more kind of like if I'm coloring a page and it's late at night and I just want to feel calm and just relax, or if I was maybe doing one of those mandalas and I just wanted to just kind of relax and de-stress, then I may go to the cool side of the color wheel. If it's in the middle of the day and I'm just kind of feeling down and I just want to feel a little bit happier and I want to bring myself a little bit of energy, then I would use this side of the color wheel with my warm colors. Now, if we go over a little bit of what some of these colors mean, if we look at red, red is just a very hot color. Of course, it's the color of fire. So it's like fire, violence, but it's also like energy and just, I don't know, sometimes red is just not a happy color. And if I look back at some of my coloring pages, there's probably only a few that I really use red in. I think the main reason why I pull my red out a lot of the time is to color a portrait and do the lips and stuff, because I always want very bright, vibrant, beautiful lips on my portrait pages. Okay, so then we get into our oranges, or the different variations of oranges. We've got red orange and yellow orange. And when we look at these colors, we just feel energy. It's a very vibrant color, and it just screams energy. Okay, so next on our color wheel we have yellow, and yellow is considered one of the brightest and most energizing of the warm colors. But when I look at yellow, it just reminds me of the sunshine and happiness. And I can tell you, when I'm coloring something, I don't think I've ever colored a page without including yellow, because yellow is just my color. Yellow is the color that just screams out to me and is just like, I don't know, I just always grab a yellow. If I do a leaf, whether it's a fall leaf or a leaf in the springtime, I grab my yellow. No matter what I'm doing or what page I am coloring, unless I'm having to follow a very specific color palette, I will bring yellow in. And even the ones that I've done in my color alongs where we've had color palettes, I think that I pretty much always find a way to bring my yellow in, even if it's just my cream for highlights or a very pale yellow. Okay, so yellow is going to start bringing us into our cooler colors. So we're going from yellow, we've got our green yellow, our yellow green, and then we're getting into our straight up green. And green would be considered a cool color because these are more subdued colors. And like I said earlier, they just give us a feeling of just being calm and more relaxed. We all know that green is kind of our color in nature, and it's a very beautiful kind of earthy color, and what it represents is new beginnings and growth, renewal, and abundance. But to me, green is just as happy and warming to me as yellow is, because anytime I'm using green, I always bring in my yellows. So that's a good thing to remember. Anytime you're using green, mix it with your yellows and you've just got the most beautiful color combination. I think a lot of us do that when we're coloring leaves. So next we are into our blues, which is the next color on our color wheel. And blue is associated with sadness, but it also represents a calmness. And I don't know, for me, I just really love blue. I have also heard that when you post something to Instagram or any kind of social media, if it has blue on it, it has a much higher percentage of getting viewed or getting noticed. There's just something about blue that really just kind of draws people in, and I'm really not sure what that is. But blue is also associated with peace. And so maybe that has a lot to do with it. I don't know, because, you know, a lot of people kind of thrive on peacefulness and just feeling good. And of course, if you really look at this as a whole, that's why all of us color. That's one of the biggest reasons why we color, to relieve our anxiety and to just kind of calm us and make us feel better. I don't know about you, but that's one of the reasons I color, as well as it kind of brings out my creativity. And when I create something beautiful on the page, it just makes me very proud and brings on a lot of motivation. So if we were referring to our Prismacolors and we wanted to be able to mix our blues and our greens, then a lot of us think teals, and there are a lot of beautiful teals in the Prismacolor set. And here we've got aquamarine, and here we have cobalt turquoise, and then there is also muted turquoise. So these are all a blue-green. If you look on the color wheel, you could see that blue is right after green, and so we've got our mixes of blue-green. But these are some fabulous, beautiful blue-green colors. And then we also have our light aqua, which is absolutely gorgeous. So those are some very beautiful colors, and to me, they're very calming, but still bright and happy. And if you look and you come all the way down here on these blues, you will see that your blues can get very, very light to almost a white. Here we have our light blue, or they call it blue light here in the Prismacolor. But this one is a very light shade of blue, and I love this color. It's a fantastic highlight color if you're using blues. But there are some really dramatic color changes when we're talking about blue, because then we get into our indigos too, which have purple in them. But there's just so many beautiful variations of blues. I think that I really just need to do some Prismacolor videos where I share my favorite color combinations, and maybe we could do one for blues, one for greens, one for yellows, and I could show you guys some of my favorite color combinations. I think that that would probably be a fabulous video. So now that we've gone over a lot of the color wheel and how that kind of works with mixing colors, I've given you a few examples of the color wheel with the Prismacolors and talked a little bit about combinations and how to choose your colors and kind of how the different colors make you feel and the meaning behind certain colors. So if you would like a much more in-depth video on how I blend my colors and how I choose my exact combinations, I would be glad to do that. Like I said earlier, I could do a video on blue combinations or green combinations or yellow combinations, and we can make it a series, and I think that would be really, really cool. So the next thing I want to talk about is how to decide what colors you want to put on your page. So this page is from Joanna Basford's World of Flowers. If I look at the page, and I'm feeling some kind of inspiration from this page, because as you all know, when you look through a book and you pick your page, you're feeling inspired by that page, and that's what makes you want to color it. And I don't know about you, but once I start laying the colors down on the page, I create even more inspiration for myself and more motivation to want to color it. And it's just, I don't know, it's like this feeling when the pencils just kind of go onto the page and you're creating something and the colors are just bringing the page to life. To me, it's just one of the best feelings. I absolutely love it. So you want to look at your page and you want to decide, what colors do I want in this page? And like we just talked about, where we talked about colors and kind of how they make you feel, I really feel like that's where you should start. That's where I start. And if you all noticed my coloring style in all of my previous videos and my tutorials, I enjoy bright, vibrant colors. I always want to make sure that I have a highlight color because I really feel like I want every object on every coloring page to really stand out and pop aside from the other objects that are around it or on the same page. I want everything to stand out. But that's my style, and everybody has their own style, and it's very important to find what your style is. But when I look at my page, I want to look at it and I just kind of want to think about, how am I feeling today? Am I feeling kind of down? Am I needing a little bit of energy, a little bit of a pick-me-up? Then I would go with like probably reds and oranges and yellows. Am I feeling a little bit like I just want to remain calm and I'm not really feeling down or sad, but it's late at night and I just want some time to just sit and color. And so you kind of just want to keep that relaxing energy and just color to kind of de-stress. Then I would choose blues and greens. So if I look at my page, and after I've decided whether I want to keep my colors cool or bring in some warm colors on my color palette, then that's where I would choose a color palette. I would either go to my 150 set of Prismacolors and I would decide what colors I want to use, and I would just keep my set there and, like I said, pull out just 3 pencils for each object on the page. Like if I chose this flower right here and I wanted to just kind of remain calm and I was just coloring for relaxation, I would probably decide to color my flower here blue. So I would go to my Prismacolor and I would decide what color. I would go to my blues. Of course, the Prismacolor set has tons of blues. So I would decide what kinds of blues I wanted in my flower, because I'm coloring at night and I just want to remain relaxed and I just want to just color a little bit before I'm getting ready to go to bed. But I want to create a beautiful blend and I still want my highlights, right? So I could go with something over here, which is a beautiful, bright, vibrant, the denim blue. So then I would want to take my denim blue, which is a much darker, vibrant blue, and I would want to mix that. I would want to come over here to the other side where I've got my lighter blues, and I may want to add in a little bit of this blue lake, and these two look absolutely beautiful together. So I could add in my blue lake, and then if I wanted to make it so that it had a lot of highlight to it, I could either even still bring in a little bit of a very pale yellow like a cream, or I can go with something like the powder blue if I wanted to stay in the blue family. If I wanted it all to be blue, I could stick to that. But if I wanted to bring in a little bit of highlight, I always go to my yellows. So what you would do if you wanted to, if you didn't want to just go to your 150 set and you didn't want to just be picking 3 colors for everything and you just wanted to stay more limited, you can go on to Google and you could just type in cool color palette and you will get all kinds of choices for a cool color palette. If you want to do a warm color palette, then you can type in Google warm color palette, and generally in most cases it's going to bring you to Pinterest. You could always just go to Pinterest and type just that in and it will give you lots of options, and then you would just pick one you like. And if you are struggling to choose your pencils for your color palette, you can refer back to a few different videos I have on my channel where I show you how I choose my Prismacolors for color palettes. So I think that this video kind of broke it all down for you, and we discussed a lot in this video. If you have any questions, leave the questions down in the comments, because I always come back to my videos and I always check to see what people are asking or when you comment, and I always come back and I always respond. If you are interested in me creating a new series on my channel where I do Prismacolor combinations, please let me also know that down in the comments below. And I will be glad to start that series in the way that I would do it. It's like I said earlier, where we would do green combinations, blue combinations, purple combinations, red combinations, and of course, even if we were using reds, we would bring in other colors, and I would probably show you in one video a few different variations of some of my favorite color combinations or how to choose your own. But I think that would be a great series to do on my channel, but you'll have to let me know if you would want me to do that, and you can let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please do make sure that you subscribe to my channel and turn your bell notifications on. And also make sure you give this video a thumbs up, because that is what helps others to see my videos. And for those of you that don't know, I am now also on Patreon, and we share exclusive content over there, and I always give everyone the heads up of what is coming to YouTube ahead of time, so you'll know way before everybody else knows, or even a couple days ahead of time after I've made that video, because I'm always a couple days ahead of filming from when the video posts. So I hope y'all have a fantastic day. Happy coloring. Bye.